My name is Peter Jones. I'm Onondaga tribe from Cattaraugus Reservation. I'm Beaver Clan, and I've been making pottery and ceramics for 54 years. I started actually on the reservation making small things for class in elementary school. And then the Institute of American Indian Arts opened in Santa Fe in 1962. And it's a school just for Native American art. And it was funded by the Congress of the United States and was the only school, boarding school, that was strictly for the arts. So I went there when I was 16 and for 11th grade and 12th grade. And I originally went to study commercial art, drawing illustrations for magazines and things like that. But when I got there, I switched majors to ceramics and pottery, and that's what I've been doing ever since. I took advantage of the classes and all the equipment. It was a very unique situation because everything was paid for. There was no cost to anyone. They provided us with all the clay. If you were a painter, you had free canvases, paints, everything. And it was more or less a social experiment with Native American students on using your heritage and background as inspiration for producing art. And we went right into it, and the school that originally produced some artists that are still very well known today. Some of the teachers there became very well known too. The sculpture teacher was Ellen Hauser. My teacher was Audley Loloma, who was a Hopi, and her husband, Charles Loloma, was also Hopi, and he became a very famous jeweler. He pioneered a lot of new jewelry that was not like their traditional Southwest silver and turquoise. So we had a lot of inspiration to draw on from the teachers and the area. I was new to that desert scene. And when I first landed there for the first year of school, I thought I was in the middle of nowhere. But got used to it and ended up staying there for 11th and 12th grade. And then after I graduated that, I went for 3 more years as postgraduate student and came out of there with a Associate of Arts degree. Ever since then, that's the only way I've made a living. I've tried a couple different jobs, odd jobs, but I always came back to my art, and have been lucky to have it be my main sole existence of making a living. So that was all fun to me. It wasn't a job. And I made very different pottery than Southwest. Southwest was, it still is. When people think of Indian pottery or native pottery, they always think of the Southwest. They don't include our type of pottery. And that's another thing, was when I came home, I realized that by we I mean the Iroquois people, Confederacy people, had a pottery history too that I had really never thought about. So I began researching our pottery and seeing how it was made and all of this. And there really wasn't a whole lot written about technique and firing and all that. So for the last 30, 40 years, it's been trial and error with pottery, and finally getting to a point where it's probably 90% of the pottery I make now with pit-fired pottery survives the fire. It's very tricky to pit fire. But introducing Iroquois pottery to this area was hard because people had never seen it, for one thing. They always thought it was raku or garbage can fire. People saying, "What did you do, burn it in the garbage?" But, you know, I had to face all that. And now, at first, there was only probably Tammy Tarbell and myself doing a type of Iroquois pottery in this area in New York State. And there was a family of potters in Canada that were doing a type of pottery that was based on Iroquois designs, but they were all wheel thrown and kiln fired. So I kept researching and kept trying, and finally came up with a type of Iroquois pottery that looked a lot like our old pottery. So that was my goal, and I'm still working on it. There's still some questions that I don't know the answer to about some of the how the clay was made, mixed, used, and different things like that, and how they were actually fired. But I divided my time between mostly pottery and making sculptures. And the sculptures I made were popular out west because they were different than anything they had out there, and I used to show a lot in a lot of different galleries out there. So they became my mainstay out there, pottery. But then when I started doing wheel-thrown pottery in New York and adding the clans to it and different symbols of our own people, they became the mainstay. And a lot of people have those today in their homes, which was basically my goal, was to bring it back from where we ended. We didn't make any pottery after 1500, that type of pottery, when we started getting trade goods that were superior to our pottery because they wouldn't break and they could travel. But most sedentary people made pottery. People that were traveling on horseback or whatever basically use other means for cooking and storing and things like that. Today I'm doing a lot of both pottery and sculpture, and it's still my my only source of income. So I'm really glad to have had the opportunity to show here, because people have what they call a backyard syndrome, where they don't know what's going on in their own backyard. And I've been going on in this backyard for a long time. And it was really good to see the turnout for this show and introduce people to my work locally. And it was really a successful show. Anything else you want to know?
Any questions? Was it fun showing with your son? Imagine it was. Was it fun showing with Mike?
Yeah, that was really a highlight. I don't know, he doesn't really give me credit for teaching him.
No, you spoke before you even eat it. You get a lot of credit. The
But,
people enjoyed the father and son factor because they were enjoying
Well,
the fact that
I'll tell you, back in when I was starting here, I applied for a grant from New York State, and they said I didn't qualify because I wasn't taught by somebody, an elder or someone else
really,
in the tribe. You know, it wasn't handed down to me. So now he got a grant that, you know, didn't have those stipulations on him because I taught him. You know, so that was really a goal for me too. You know, to get that type of education out there to the people that could do things. And, but having taught now, when I started with, we had just 5 of us, I think, altogether. And today we have over 60 from all Iroquois tribes making some type of pottery. So it's been from 1977 to now that's happened. You know, before that, no one really knew anything about Iroquois pottery. So that was success, really, what I meant to do.
well, we're glad you did.
Yeah.
4 years of
Yeah.
bringing the pottery back, and we've enjoyed having you here. It's one of our most successful shows for sure.
Oh, great.
And a lot of people were really thrilled with it, so it's been very popular.
Yeah.
And, we're hoping tomorrow or
Saturday.
we have a nice, fun closing.
Good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that and meeting more people. People will come out for the food.